The Bible in the book of Genesis is called the first book of Moses. And they give a date, 4004 BC. Well, if we're in 2000 AD, then 4000 BC is 6,000 years ago. Now, 6,000 years ago is not the beginning of the human family. It's the beginning of a ruler that is going to be placed in the earth to create mischief and cause the shedding of blood. This new ruler is called Adam. Now, white folks today are changing dictionaries because we are using the language to defeat him, so he makes a little twist and turn. I'm going to give you an example. Brother Malcolm, when he awakened, the first thing that Brother Malcolm started reading was what? The dictionary. And Malcolm became a master of words, but he hadn't gone to the 8th grade. He just completed the 8th grade, showing you that your mastery of things is not necessarily in the schools of your enemy. Your mastery of things is to become acquainted with your God and the wisdom of God that is being given to you, that you heard coming out of these two young people who are your peers. You really touched me because it gives me hope that the future is bright, because in these two is every one of these young people, boys and girls that are here. These young people are not greater than you. They just came ahead of you to the table of wisdom. And that table has been spread out for you. Now, let's look at this. See, they used to have a term called pre-Adamite. You don't see that in the dictionary now. You get pre, you get Adam, but you don't get pre-Adamite. Because once you think Adam is the first human, you don't go beyond Adam. But once you know people were on the earth before Adam, then you want to know what people were here before Adam. Because those are the people that the ruler is going to rule. And the pre-Adamite is called the aboriginal people of the earth. In the old dictionaries, the aboriginals were always the native people, non-Europeans. Did you hear me? I'll say it again. The aboriginals in the old dictionaries were the native people of our planet, non-Europeans. Well, if you are a non-European, aren't you? then you are connected to and are from the aboriginal people of the earth, who are going to be subjected to a ruler who's going to create mischief among you and cause the shedding of blood. The aboriginal people are the dark people of our planet. The prefix ab is Latin. It means from or away from. Origin means the beginning. You, as a member of the aboriginal people of the earth, we don't know how old we are. There is no birth record to the black man. When you look in the book of Daniel, he said he saw the Ancient of Days seated on the throne. Ancient of Days, he didn't say how ancient, but it was ancient. He had hair like lamb's wool. He had feet like burnished brass, but he was sitting on the throne. That's your future. And the enemy knows that one day soon God is going to put you back on the throne, so the enemy is working to destroy you so that you will never fulfill your destiny. Now, excuse me for getting excited. Now, this Adam is a strange dude, because God talks to this fella and tells him, you can eat of everything here, but this tree, don't touch it. Now, brothers, if God told you something to do and something not to do, think about it. What would you do? But Adam, he rebelled against God. So in Adam's rebellion, sin began. Sin is rebellion against the God of righteousness. The aboriginal people didn't do that. But this new man on our planet was a rebel against God. And once you rebel against God, you rebel against life. Because God and his way and his law and his word is life itself. But once you start rebelling against God, you set up the culture of death. All right, now preachers, I want to talk with you because I want to help you. You're great men and great women. Yes, you are. And I'm in love with you because you try to give the people the word of God. And if I can help you from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to make the Bible make sense, then you will not only be preaching, but you'll be teaching. And if the scripture says my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, then it's teaching that they need more than preaching. All right, now, a culture of death. Now, on my way here, I was sitting in the vehicle and thinking, how would I start the lecture today? And I thought of life and I thought of death, because the enemy has put death on our youth. And our youth are a part of a culture of death. It's not your fault. I'm going to take all the blame away from you today, but I'm going to put it where it belongs. But after I show you that you are not responsible, then don't go back to that behavior, because then you will be responsible, and then a penalty will come against you. Now, this rebellion set up a culture of death. What is death? What is life? In the Bible, when Moses came to the children of Israel, he said, I set before you two signs, one of life, one of death. Choose life, that you and your seed may live. What is life? You got it, I got it, but do we really have life? See, life is activity in accord with the nature of our creation. Lions have life. As long as they're living the way God created a lion to be, then he's acting in accord with his nature. So you ain't gonna jump in no den with no lion. I mean, the Hebrew boys did, but you need to understand that one before you jump in with some lions. You know, these illusionists do things and they tell you, don't you try this, because this is a trick, but if you don't know how to do the trick, don't do that. So don't you go running into no lion den talking about you the Hebrew boys. You might come up with the past tense, I was. Now, life is in every creature that acts in accord with its nature. Death starts when you take a creature away from its natural course. That's when death starts. I'll follow this now. If you are the aboriginal people of the earth, how did you live before the white man came? I'm just gonna deal straight. I ain't got no time to sugarcoat nothing. How did black people live before the white man came? If you let him tell your story, you were swinging in trees. But if you were swinging in trees, how did you build his mansions in the South? How did you lay the roads? How did you become so great when he denied you the right to know? Where did your building skills come from? You already were a builder, brother. And we lived in accord with God and the nature of our creation before an enemy came. Preacher, the Bible says, as by one man, not one spook, not one spirit, but as by one man sin entered into the world. See, the world was already operating. People were already here. But as by one man sin entered in, I'm going to place a ruler in the earth. And he's going to create mischief and cause the shedding of blood. Well, when he placed that ruler, as by one man sin entered. What is sin? Transgression of the law. Rebellion against God is sin. Well, you didn't do that. Adam did that. So the Bible says, as that one man brought sin, then death came by sin. And death has passed to all men, for all men now have sinned. All are in rebellion because a ruler that you would be bound to follow is a rebel. That's why God is hard on leaders. Because if any man would be your leader and he's a rebellion person against God, then what will you be who follow him? So the Caucasian has been our ruler. And he has always been a rebel against God. Follow this. As by one man sin entered into the world, and death came by sin, and all men have sinned, so death has passed to all men. Now the mischief begins. See, right now, brothers, it's mischievous for you to be a BD, a GD, another gangster, whatever you call yourself, and you hate your brother. See, that's mischief, because you all are brothers. How did you get to hate each other? Because one wears one color, one wears another, one gives one gang sign, one gives another. See, the enemy is making mischief among us, and what is it causing? Is it causing peace? Is it causing brotherhood? Or is it causing the shedding of blood? Don't feel bad, because this ruler has caused the shedding of blood throughout the earth. He's put Muslims, Christians, and Jews against each other. He come right in the straight path. He put Buddhists, Hindus. I'm just dealing with religious people now. But here are people that believe in God, and they're killing one another in God's name. Huh? Now there's all these political things. One is a Democrat, one is a socialist, one is a communist, one is this or that. And these political parties, these political entities are at odds with each other. Some are rich, some are poor, some are white, some are black, some are educated, some are uneducated, but we're all confused, fighting each other. What will you create in the earth but that which will create mischief and cause the shedding of blood? Well, who is this dude? Who is he? Who is this Adam and his children? He said, I'm going to give you dominion over the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and every creeping thing that crawls. You don't have it, but the white man has it. And in his dominion over everything, he has poisoned the air, the water, the land. Talk to me. Oh God, I'm a little afraid now. He said, this man teaching hate. Stop it. Stop it. I'm too intelligent for that. It is not about teaching somebody to hate somebody. It's about teaching you to know who the ruler is that put you at odds with yourself, with your brother, and with God. Now, he has dominion and power. In the Genesis, he comes in as Adam and a serpent. Jesus is having a fight with some of them in the book of John, the 8th chapter and the 44th verse. And this argument, started in the 39th verse. Jesus is talking to some Jews. Now, this is not anti-Semitism. I'm sorry. This is your Bible. The Bible. The Bible. Now, if they don't like that, then naturally they're going to try to change it. Jesus was talking to the Jews, and he said to them, I know that you are Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me. See, here's murder now. But this isn't just some murder. This is murder of a human being whom God sent into the world to remove the curse of Adam and death and bring all back to God. This is Jesus. Jesus said, you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you. Ooh. When you think about a man from God in whom God is indwelling in Jesus, and Jesus is telling some people that the word out of his mouth has no place in them, then if it is the word that will bring life from death, and if a people don't want to listen to that word, then they are death itself. Jesus went on, I speak that which I have seen with my Father, and ye do that which you have seen with your father. Now, in this argument that Jesus is making with the Jews of his day, he recognizes his father, but he also recognizes they are coming from a different father. And he says, and they answered and said unto him, if you were Abraham, no, they answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Now they want to claim the friend of God as their father. And Jesus came back with a heck of an answer. He said, yeah. He said, if you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. And then he comes back again. But now you seek to kill me. A man that has told you the truth. How would you know that they don't belong to Abraham? The Quran says Abraham was not a Christian, nor was he a Jew. He was an upright man, and he was not of the polytheists. So when you see people worshiping many gods, when you see people not living an upright life, but claim Abraham, they are liars. And so Jesus said, no. If you were Abraham's seed, you would do the works of Abraham, but now you seek to kill me, a man that hath told you the truth, which I have heard of God. Abraham did not do this. You do the deeds of your father. Now, whenever you trap the enemy, and I'm going to point out, I'm going to make it real clear today. Whenever you come at the enemy and point him out, look at how he comes back at Jesus. See, he don't take it lying down. Don't expect that today. So he comes back at Jesus. He said, we be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even God. So they're going to drop that lug on Jesus about his birth, because it was, quote unquote, a virgin birth, but they accused Jesus of being a bastard. Come on. So what that says is, anything that the enemy knows about you or me or us, when you put the light on them, they're gonna come back. I saw you smoking crack. I saw you fornicating. I saw you freaking. I saw you do that. Yeah, you did. But whatever I did, it was because you were the ruler and I was following you and your filth and your indecency. Then Jesus said, if God were your father, you would love me. For I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. What was the scripture? Send us a defender. These weak-kneed Negro leaders are not your defender. If they are too weak to point out your real enemy, they can never be your defender. Then Jesus said, if God were your father, you would love me. For I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you cannot understand my word, because my word has no place in you. See, when I speak to you like I spoke on Friday,
I never like to stop the minister like that in full flow. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the ancient tongue of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, 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 dear beloved family, brothers, sisters, and regular viewers of the Imagination Show. My name is Brother Leo Muhammad, and sitting alongside me is my beloved sister, Sister Claudia Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you all? I pray that you are all safe and well, and once again, enjoying Allah's countless blessings. We are all blessed over here. The weather's not too great, very wet.
Very wet today.
A bit cold as well. I feel cold today. It's a bit cold, but it's all a blessing from Allah. Let us know where you are from around the world. It's good to see. I think I haven't seen Clover Dragon. I haven't seen you for a long time. You may have been here, but I haven't seen you in the chat for a long time. But welcome, YouTube family. Welcome, Zoom family. Thank you again for your time. We really appreciate you joining, because time is very precious and we don't have a lot of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Praise be to Allah. Dear family, as Sister Claudia said, let us know where you are on the planet. Also, at this time, call a friend, a relative, a loved one. Let them know that the Imagination Show has started. We begin each and every Thursday evening at approximately 6 p.m. and we go through for a couple of hours till around 8 o'clock. Please inform somebody, let them know. Also, dear family, click that like button and also subscribe to the channel and share what we share with you. It's very, very important that we get this word out to our people, because it is a life-giving word. This word contains light, life, and power. It's not the word of Brother Leo Muhammad nor Sister Claudia Muhammad. It is the word of God coming through the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Dear family, welcome to the Imagination Show. It is imagination because we want you to be able to image within your own mind, within your own construct, a nation that is our own. We are a people who are still subject to another people. If you were listening to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was teaching just a few moments ago, dear beloved family, we need to appreciate that not all human beings on the planet are the same, that not all of us have the same Father who art in heaven. Not all of us are coming from the same place. Not all of us have the same character or the same mindset. You can't make silly statements that, oh, we all bleed red blood, so that means that we're all human beings. It just does not work like that. We have different natures, different characters, and we have different purposes for our existence on the planet. And we, as the people of God, that's our true identity. We are, in fact, the people of God. We are directly related to the originator of the heavens and the earth. And it's very, very important, dear family, that we get back in touch with our true nature and who we are. Because as long as we are acting other than ourselves, as long as we think that we've been made by this Western man, by this European, Caucasian mentality, as long as we are following a Eurocentric curricula in terms of our education, we are in deep, deep trouble, and we can never, ever be successful with that type of mentality. So hence the Image and Nation show. We want you to be able to reconstitute that wonderful faculty called imagination, and just to think yourself outside of the box that an enemy has designed for us, whereby the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said it like this, wonderful, wonderful way in which the minister put it. And let me see if I can recall exactly what he said. He said, he who controls the diameter of your learning controls the circumference of your action. Just think about that. He who controls the diameter of your learning, in other words, that teaching, that learning that goes directly in and through you, ultimately controls the circumference of how far we're able to go in life. So you will see and you will hear all of these Black people who work in corporate Britain, corporate America, and they're CEOs of particular companies or whatever, and they've climbed very high within the structure of the white man's world, but you will hear them complain about a glass ceiling. Okay, you will hear them complain about an invisible barrier that they can't go beyond, and that people who are junior to them oftentimes end up being promoted above them. Because at the end of the day, dear family, until we construct systems of our own, we cannot expect to be ultimately successful in another man's system. I hope you are following what we are saying this evening. How are you feeling, Sister Claudia?
I'm good.
You said you said you was feeling a bit cold.
Yeah, I feel fine now.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Well, dear family, let's get right into it. Let's get right into what we want to share with you this evening. And it's Thursday, the 30th of May already. My goodness.
I know, already. Where's the time going?
Wow. May is finished. Wow.
Yes.
And we say, as always, dear family, let me get rid of this. I don't like too many things on my screen. Okay, we say always, welcome to episode 132.
Wow.
Of the Image and Nation show, and today's title is United States, United Kingdom, or US and UK and the West, World Policeman? Question mark. We're asking the question, is the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Western world, are they the world's policemen? This is a very, very important question, dear family, because we need to understand the mentality of a people that makes them to believe that they have the authority on the planet to police the planet, to police the peoples of the world. In other words, to keep them in law and order, to keep them in obedience to a system that has been set up in order to control the masses of the people on the planet. This is the question that we're asking today. It's a very important question. Go ahead, sister.
Well, that question, I think in general, as Black people, like if we're all in our uniforms on the street or something, you always get a white person. Oh, what's going on here? They always think they have the authority to come and question us. That's in their nature. That's how they are. They just think they're in charge all the time.
That's right. Well, and you know, it happens to us all the time in the Nation of Islam because of the way in which we dress, yes. Because the sisters, they dress really as queens with the head covering and the beautiful dresses and so on and so forth. You see my wife, she's wearing beautiful pearls. The brothers, we dress in the business suit with a bow tie, and we are very clean and presentable, and the way we carry ourselves is very upright. We're not out there kind of like twisting and swagging around. You know what I mean? We're carrying ourselves in a very upright manner. What they say, they always come up to us. Yes. Oh, where you going? What you doing? Because you see, what you've got to understand is that they have fashioned black people in a particular way. And when they see us like this, this is, why are you like this? Oh, you must be going to a wedding. There must be a party. There must be some special occasion. And when you say, well, no, this is just the way I dress.
Yes.
You see, then they're really shocked, because what it says is that they didn't make this. They know that they didn't make this. This is not something that they expected to see. They expect us to come in a particular manner, look in a particular way,
Yes.
because they've fashioned us in that manner and in that way. Very, very important point, dear sister, that you made. And so, beloved, again, we are asking the question, US, UK, and the West, world's policemen, is that who they are? Is that how they've styled themselves? And if that's the case, what exactly does that mean? You see, because you got to understand today, I'm on the road quite a lot, and I watch people. I see the way they behave when they see a police vehicle, whether it's a police car or police, and people just seem to be a little bit intimidated most of the time.
Not you, though.
No, I'm not. But
what you do is you will make sure you stop right next to them and you look
and look at them, look at them, and then they look away.
Yes.
They always look away.
Yes.
But I find that a lot of people, they're so afraid and terrified of the police. But do we understand that police are supposed to be public servants? They're supposed to be there to serve the public. But instead, the public is afraid or terrified of them, because oftentimes what they end up doing is beating up on or bullying or intimidating the public.
Yes.
So that's not the role. So again, we're going to examine that a little bit deeper as we go forward, dear family. Now, for the benefit of today's Imagination show, we want to focus our attention on one scripture found in the Holy Quran, which is Surah 14, entitled Abraham or Ibrahim, verse 22, wherein it says, "And the devil will say, when the matter is decided, surely Allah promised you a promise of truth, and I promised you, then failed you, and I had no authority over you, except that I called you and you obeyed me. So blame me not, but blame yourselves. I cannot come to your help, nor can you come to my help. I deny your associating me with Allah before. Surely for the unjust is a painful chastisement."
Read that
wow.
again. I love
Now I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna try to break it down a little bit, dear family, because you see, the devil, he's gonna deny all of us who end up following him, all of us who end up obeying him, all of us who are so terrified of his perceived power that we fear the devil instead of having fear for God. You see? And the devil, he makes it abundantly clear in this scripture in the Holy Quran. He says, when the matter is decided, what's the matter? What matter are we talking about here? See, when this controversy of Almighty God Allah versus the devil, when the controversy of good and evil, when the controversy of this life and what's the purpose of this life, what's it all about, we hear people asking all the time. When the matter is decided, when we finally have clarity about what's really going on the planet, the devil says, when the matter is decided, surely Allah promised you a promise of truth. See, he's telling you that what God promises us in the Bible and in the Quran, in the scriptures, is a truthful promise. But then he goes on to say, and I promised you, then failed you. Because you see, In the world, they have a saying, a promise is a comfort to a fool. But whose promise? The devil's promise is a comfort to a fool. There's some of us, we think that the devil is going to turn around tomorrow and be a nice guy. He's going to stop his evil on the planet, and he's going to become good. You know, there are black people throughout our history, our sojourn in this Western world. You know, when you think back to the civil rights, the time of the civil rights in the 50s and the 60s, there were many who thought that we could love the Caucasian, love the white man into giving us justice, love him into changing his behavior. This is what we thought. We thought that if we acquiesced enough, submitted enough to him and his brutality, then at some point, you know, his heart will kick in, not having any concept or realization that this man don't have a heart of flesh like yours. He has a heart of stone. He has no feelings for you or me or the native indigenous people of the planet who he has genocided from his inception. That's his nature. That's what he does. Okay? So he says, surely Allah promised you a promise of truth, and I promised you, then failed you. See, because he's always making us promises.
That's right.
Always. Oh, you know, after this time, I remember the promise they gave to the Zimbabweans that, you know, after about 10 years, that they would transfer the land over to the people, to black people, the land that was stolen, that all of these white farmers had, that they would incrementally, have land reform in Zimbabwe. 20 years went by, nothing happened. And in the 20 years, basically Robert Mugabe was acquiescent. He was going along with them. He was one who maybe, because, you know, he was a Catholic. He believed very much in the religion that they had brought to Zimbabwe, changed the name and called it Rhodesia, on the Cecil Road, one of the most evil demons that ever lived and put his foot on the soil of Africa. And, you know, Mugabe was the darling. They loved him. He came here, he was dancing with Margaret Thatcher. They loved him. I think they even went so far as to knight him, Sir Robert Mugabe. Okay? And 20 years passed and there was no land reform. There was no giving back the land to the black people who had fought. In the language of the Zimbabweans, they called the wars Chumarengas. They fought Chumarengas against this Caucasian invader, this colonizer, and they were defeating him before the enemy called for peace talks. And they went to Lancaster House here in the UK and sat down together. And then the devil started to make his promises. And then 20 years later, when Blair came to power, and he had this foreign minister, I think it was the foreign minister, her name was Claire Short, who was an Irish woman. She turned around and said, well, you know, we didn't agree to that. So basically, get lost. And it was only then when the war veterans, the black people who had fought in the Chumarengas for the land to be returned to the original people and the owners of the land, it was only when those brothers and sisters started to occupy some of these white farms and said, we're not going anywhere. Okay, we're going to actually take this land back. Then Mugabe found himself between a rock and a hard place, and the Western powers were encouraging Robert Mugabe to basically slaughter his own people to get them off the land. But eventually Mugabe said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to side with my people. And that's when overnight Robert Mugabe became the Hitler of Africa. All of a sudden, there were stories in the newspapers that he was cannibalizing or eating his own people. I mean, the stories were just horrendous. And this is what they do. This is what Jomo Kenyatta. He was evil. Idi Amin. He was another cannibal. And we can go anytime their former puppets turn around and say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm actually going to stand and side with my own people and reject their fake promises, reject the promise of the devil. That's when the devil goes on the absolute out and out attack against those leaders. Dear family, I hope you're following. He said, I promise you, this is the devil confessing. I promised you, then failed you. Because he knows he can't fulfill any of his promises. It's just not within him. All of the treaties that they have signed over the years with the Native Americans, whatever, go back and do your research, family. They have never honored one treaty ever with Native indigenous people. It just does not happen. Every time you sign those treaties with them, it's a trick. And then he says, the devil says, and I had no authority over you. See, we think that they've got authority over us. There's a reason why in the Nation of Islam, we're teaching the people and we're taught that God has come and he has come to free us. He has come to free his people. He has come to be our God and for us to be his people. And once we claim him, once we claim God, once we line ourselves up with him, then he lines himself up with us. That's part and parcel, by the way. You find it in the Bible, Elijah's mission. What's Elijah's mission? Elijah comes, and part of what Elijah's remit is to turn the hearts of the children back to the Father, the God, and the heart of the Father back to the children, because we've been estranged. We've been prodigal. We've been missing for over 400 years here, lost in the Western Hemisphere. But he came and he found us. And Elijah is now uniting the hearts of the children back to the Father and the Father back to the children. That man fulfilled his mission 100,000%. And so the devil says, the enemy says, and I had no authority over you, except that I called you and you obeyed me. It's like now they're talking about bringing back some type of draft or some type of compulsory national service in this country, because again, they're building up to another war. And they need bodies, they need cannon fodder, they need some foolish people to go and die on the front line against Russia or against China or against some other enemy that they have formed in order to fight this war. So we don't have to obey that call. I'm talking to the young people. You don't have to go to war and go and die for some politicians who are lying through their teeth to you about the reason for the war and the cause of the war and who is the actual aggressor and who is the instigator of the trouble on the planet. You don't have to. But because we have been miseducated into thinking that these people have authority over the people of God, then the devil says, and I had no authority over you except that I called you and you obeyed me. Then the devil says, listen to the devil, he said, so blame me not, but blame yourselves. See, there was a case of somebody who either was severely injured or died through taking the COVID vaccine. Okay. And in the case, I think it's somewhere in Europe, basically the government saying, well, no, you can't blame us. You have to blame yourself because we did actually warn you that it was experimental. But when you took it, you signed an agreement when you took it, knowing that it was experimental. And so don't blame us. Blame yourself. And this is how tricky. Language. Oh, man. So the enemy says, so blame me not, but blame yourselves. I cannot come to your help. See, some of us think that if we get into enough trouble, Satan is going to be able to bail us out. The Ukrainians right now, they think that England's going to bail them out. They think America is going to bail them out. England ain't going to bail you out, Ukraine. America ain't going to bail you out. They goaded you into thinking that you could go to war against Russia, a nuclear power, a country that has been attacked and invaded over centuries and has never, ever been defeated.
Mm-hmm.
They lost between 27 and 30 million in the Second World War. Nobody lost more than them. And they still defeated the Nazis. And you really think that this is the kind of people that you can just go and roll over? No, they're just not that kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And so they're not going to come to your help. They're not going to come to our help. See, they promised the Afghans, oh, you know, we're going to be there for you. The Taliban, we're going to defeat the Taliban. Who's in power now? Taliban's back in power. It's just a nonsense. They just play you. They're not going to come to your aid. See, all these puppets right now that are in Africa, you think that when it goes down for you, that they're going to come to your rescue? All of the stool pigeons and the informers and the agents who are in the black community right now working on behalf of MI6 or MI5 or Mossad or the CIA or the FBI, all of you who are traitors to your own people, guess who's going to give you up? That same enemy is the one who's going to tell us in the end who you are. That's how they do it, man. So you're thinking that you're sitting pretty because they're giving you a little bit of money every month and they've provided you with a car or a house or whatever it is that they've given. They're giving you one of their white women and you're so happy because, you know, you believe that these people are going to look after you. No, he says here, he says, I cannot come to your help, nor can you come to my help. You're not going to be able to help the devil out of his dilemma either because he is doomed. I deny you're associating me with Allah before. See, because you've made the devil like he's a God besides God. You believe the hype when the devil told you how powerful he is because he's got nuclear weapons and because he's got these guns and he's got these bombs, and you think, wow, well, you know, I really seen God. I haven't really seen his power. Yes, yeah. And the devil is telling me that he's all powerful. And so here the devil now. I deny you're associating me with Allah before, because the devil knows that Allah is all powerful. The devil knows in the end that Allah is the master, the ruler, because Allah made him. And so I deny you're associating me with Allah before. Surely for the unjust is a painful chastisement. Those of us who have been, you know, we have a prayer. In our prayer, we say, I've been greatly unjust to myself, and I do confess all my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee, but Allah. And so surely for the unjust is a painful chastisement. Understand this, dear family. If we're guilty of being wrapped up in all of this, that the devil is basically letting us know that, no, we don't have to obey him. And if we follow him, it's on us. It's our fault. It's our own fault, you know. And at the end of the day, he disassociates himself from us associating him like he's a God besides God. I hope you get it, because that's really the foundation that I wanted to lay for everything that we discuss in relation to this idea that this man is the world's policeman. Go ahead,
it's
sister.
like when they knock your door. When somebody knocks your door, you don't have to answer your door.
There you go. There you go.
Stand at your window and watch them.
There you go.
Not answering the door.
There you go. And you think that these people, they come to your door and they want to ask you, oh, are you such a... You don't have to tell them nothing. Then go away.
Yeah.
Who are you? Go away.
That's right.
And close your door.
But you don't even have to open the door.
Right. But what I'm saying is that we just feel like
obligated.
Yeah, you know, maybe they've got a badge or something. They flash some badge and you feel that you have to talk to them. No, you don't have to talk to them. Who are you? Go away.
That's right.
As Sister Claudia said, you don't even have to open your door.
But that's what we feel like. We're obliged. Oh, somebody's knocking my door. I have to answer. No.
Yeah, no, you don't. No, you don't, family. This is you have to take back your sovereignty.
That's right.
You have to recognize that you are a child of God. Ye are all God's
That's right.
children of the Most High God.
But that is such a key scripture.
Absolutely. That one that we just,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Definitely.
absolutely key.
Oh, there's a comment from B. Deasy. I think this was in reference to the police. And we pay the salaries of people we're scared of. You know that's not right. And also Nobuson, Satan do what he was meant to do. We just need to know who Satan is. Very
Absolutely.
good point.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for that, family. America, Britain, and the West are all partners in international crime. I'm going to say that again. America, Britain, and the West are all partners in international crime. And at the same time, their mass media and the career politicians who run the system are busy fooling the world into the false belief that they are, in fact, the good guys, while they're mercenaries and soldiers who are the dogs of war impersonate a policeman to trick, rob, rape, kill, and pillage innocent black, brown, and yellow people in every corner of our planet. This is what's going on. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sometimes quotes Brother Malcolm X when he said, "We've been bamboozled, we've been hoodwinked, we've been took, we've been had." See, it's like we're living in a world, dear family, where a massive confidence trick has been played on the whole of humanity. We kind of touched on it last week with that Kevin Spacey quote from that movie, Usual Suspects, I think, where he says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince the world that he doesn't exist. You see? So we think that, he is this man who, he's a bit bad, he's made a few mistakes, but we don't actually understand that you're dealing with Satan. You're actually dealing with Satan, because what's the enemy done? He's made you think that Satan has got red skin, that he's under the ground, that he's in a hell with pitchfork and a tail and horns. Oh man, he's giving you a cartoon. And that's how we think the devil is. No, the devil wears pinstripe suits. The devil drives in Rolls Royces and Bentleys and Ferraris or whatever the vehicle. I'm just saying, he flies in private jets. Okay? He drinks champagne and he eats caviar. I'm saying other people do that who are not devils as well. But that's what I'm trying to show you, that the devil is moving among and around the people every day, and we don't see him. He talks to us on the television every day. And he's not a devil for that moment, and then after that he's good. No, he's a devil all the time. And he's deceiving all the time. He's an enemy 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's who he is. That's his nature. And he's got minions. He's got followers. He's got people that do his bidding. Understand this, dear family, because, we make a terrible mistake when we think that, when we think in that cartoon way that they've taught us about these spiritual things. The scripture says we war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. See, it's not so much the flesh and blood of the individual, but it's about their spirit and their wickedness. And where do they reside? In high places. They're in those palaces and in those penthouses that are on the top of the, prestigious hotels or whatever. Understand this, brothers and sisters, family. This is what we're dealing with when we are looking at this question of the so-called world policeman. I've put together this video, and I'm just going to see how much of it I can allow to just play, and then we'll stop and we'll talk about it a little bit here and there. But this is what we're dealing with today, dear family. I hope everybody is good. Let us know in the chat if you are all right, and if you are following, if you can see and hear us clearly, and if this resonates with you in terms of the truth.
The United States, once known as the world's policeman, may be becoming the world's greatest threat. Waging wars, triggering political turmoil, causing refugee crises, and economic and technological hegemony. What are America's covert goals that may be undermining democracy?
Imagine what he just, and by the way, that was like a Chinese perspective. That was Chinese news, looking at America, not as this, what he claims to be the world's policeman, but saying that he's actually undermining so-called democracy. Look at all of the mayhem that he causes around the world. You saw some of the images, people crying, he creates all these refugees, and then he cries over the fact that the refugees are coming through his southern border. They're crying that the refugees are coming across the Atlantic in boats and then showing up in France, showing up on the European continent, and showing up here in Britain. So they've got this really big problem of immigration, but these people are coming now as a result of the bombing of their nations and the destruction of their governments and their infrastructure in North Africa and other parts of the world, Libya and Syria and these places. And then the enemy is acting like he's shocked at what's going on when he's the one who created it in the first place.
About face from the candidate who promised a national security strategy that put America first.
I want to help all of our allies, but we are losing billions and billions of dollars. We cannot be the policeman of the world.
We're angry at China.
Trump was trying to retreat away from being the policeman of the world. But once he went and sat in the hot seat, he realized that no, Trump thought that he could withdraw from all of those conflicts that were going on in the world, like Obama. When he went into the White House, I'm going to close Guantanamo Bay. Before he got in there, I'm going to close. Guantanamo Bay is still open. And Guantanamo Bay is a place where they're still holding people who have never been charged with any offense, and they've been locked up for years, thrown away, forgotten in Cuba, by the way, in a part of Cuba that they still claim that they're occupying a part of Cuba against the Cuban government's will. This is how gangster America is, okay? So they've got a prison in somebody else's country against that country's sovereignty and against that country's will. And they do this stuff all over the world. And then they send people who they capture in other countries, blindfold them, and then send them to Guantanamo Bay. And those people stay there for years and years and years without any due process, without any access to justice, just rotting away. And then presidents come in and say, yeah, they're going to close it down, they're going to deal with the injustice, whatever. And then Obama gets a rude awakening and realizes that, no, when you're sitting in that seat, you better carry out the will of those who are really in charge. Otherwise, you find yourself getting short shrift. And Trump discovered that reality when he sat in that seat as well. And ultimately, you know, he found himself doing all manner of stuff that he never thought he was going to do when he initially went into that office. Did you have something, sister? Okay, let's continue.
Wars. The war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan. Why are we doing all this stuff? In other words, the idea that the United States is the global policeman, a role that the Americans had accepted to a great degree during the Cold War, accepted to a significant degree after 9/11, really doesn't accept anymore.
In fact, America never was the world's policeman. And the reason for that has something to do with what a policeman is. A policeman, a legitimate policeman, as we understand it, is appointed according to the law by duly constituted authority, operates according to the law, and is accepted in principle, if not always in practice, by the majority of the population.
That, family? That's what a policeman is. Somebody who is duly appointed, somebody who's authorized by the people, because, you know, you will, if you listen to the politicians in this country, for instance, they'll tell you that the police by consent. They police by the public agreeing to be policed by them. Okay? And again, like I said, they're supposed to be public servants. They're supposed to be there to serve the people, not the opposite way around, not the other way around. We're not supposed to be there to serve the police. We're not supposed to be there to be the beating sticks of the police, to be oppressed by the police, to be manhandled and ill-treated by the police, to die in police custody. That's not supposed to be the relationship. But the reality is that's exactly the relationship. And this is when you take that now to the next level of America or Britain or the West claiming to be the policeman of the world, think about all of the injustice that Black people have had to face by the Metropolitan Police and the other police forces in this country. Think about George Floyd in America and all of the other injustices that Black people have had to face in North America at the hands of the police. And then look at that now on that larger scale of America and Britain going around the world to police Black, brown, yellow, and the darker people of the planet. And you cannot even begin to imagine the type of injustice that has been meted out and continues to be meted out to those people all around the world. And who investigates them when they do this evil? They investigate themselves the same way that, you know, oftentimes when they kill us in police custody, you hear that, oh, there's going to be an investigation and it's going to be the police authority investigating the police. In other words, the police investigating themselves. And what happens? Inevitably, what happens is that they find that it was justifiable homicide, that it was a justified killing because, oh, the person acted in a particular way, or maybe they had a weak neck, or they had a weak heart, or they had some underlying health problem why they ended up dying in custody or dying with several bullets embedded in their head because the police thought that the Afro comb that they had in their hand was in fact a samurai sword.
Yeah, I did hear a tail end of the Final Call radio about, was it a brother who got shot, murdered by the police because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt? Now, how did that come about?
Yeah, how does not wearing a seatbelt it leads to you being murdered?
I think they shot. I think it was around 90 something bullets they shot. How?
Yeah, beloved, they were scared. They were scared because he may have taken the seatbelt and hit one of them with it. I mean, but this is
mind that, yeah, no logic.
But you see, you got to listen to what they're saying in Israel. You got to listen to what they're saying now in what's happening in Palestine. You know, you got some people that they're absolutely terrified because they're saying there are protesters on the street saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And no, but because that's it's a genocidal right. You're gonna they're in danger of being murdered in their beds because people are chanting from the river to the sea, these people will be free.
Yes.
And somehow that's genocidal and it's terrifying, whilst the people who are terrified, it's anti-Semitic, and whilst the people who are claiming all of that and they're so terrified, they're actually committing a genocide. They're actually, and their stuff isn't just words. Their stuff, they've actually got the military power to be able to kill tens of thousands of people, and they've got the backing of the world's superpower in the form of America, and they've got the backing of Britain, and they've got the backing of most of the Western world, and they've got the backing of the Western media to be able to enact, because Netanyahu several months ago went to the UN and he was showing a map of Israel. And on that map, there was no Palestine at all. So on the one hand, you got somebody protesting saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, some rhetoric, some, idea that, really these people actually need some freedom because for the last 75 plus years, they've actually been occupied and colonized and denied freedom. But then you got this other set of people who have got the freedom to be able to kill them at will, colonize them, besiege them, deny them food, water, you name it, whatever, bomb all of their hospitals, destroy all of their hospitals, destroy all of their universities, destroy their mosques, destroy their churches, destroy their schools. And we're supposed to be concerned about the people who are worried about some words being said. See that, because I relate that to the Nation of Islam. You see, they're terrified of what we say in the nation, the words, but what did that white woman say on Donahue? I think we hear violence. You think you hear violence, but you are doing real violence. We die for real in your custody. We die for real every day on the continent of Africa whilst you displace us and genocide us in the Congo and these other regions of the continent where we are not allowed to develop ourselves and to grow and develop to the point where we can actually compete with you. And when we produce leaders, those leaders are assassinated. See, not words, real actions that you carry out, but you're scared to death of the words that we use. Imagine, I heard the Honorable Minister Lewis Farrakhan say one time, man, if words will bring your world down, your world should never have existed in the first place. Imagine how shaky their world must be, that they're terrified of a truthful word. And so they want to, you hear them talking I listen to them on the radio and on the TV, they're talking about, we need to introduce new laws to stop people from being able to say words. So they're clamping down on people being able to express themselves, to be able to tell the truth. And that's why George Orwell, the author of 1984, Big Brother is watching you. That's why George Orwell said that in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth will become a revolutionary act. In a time of universal deceit, deception. Remember last week, we were dealing with the general deception. Telling the truth will become a revolutionary act. Just to tell the truth will make you a revolutionary person. And when we say revolutionary, what are we talking about? Are we talking about picking up some guns and running up and down on the street, killing some people? No. All revolution means is just turning from one direction into a brand new direction. That's what revolution is. That we turn away from following Satan and his way, and we choose now to follow our God and to go in the right direction. And so the scripture says, surely I am being turned, or surely I am turn myself, trying or being upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth. Dear family, we got to turn, man. We got to turn away from this wicked demon.
Concerned. None of that is true of the United States. The United States has been appointed by no community as the world's policeman, operates according to no universally acknowledged law, and has not even followed in detailed cases what law does in fact exist. In the vast majority of countries around the world, the large majority of the population rejects this role on the part of the United States. And that is even true in key American allies. The notion that the US has the right and duty to act as policemen and intervene around the world is based very much on the notion that the world as a whole is lawless and without America would be continually on the brink, or indeed over the brink, of tumbling over into war and anarchy.
Basically, my understanding is that America...
I mean, think about that. This is what they say, that, you know, this world will just be anarchy if the white man, if the European, if the American wasn't in charge and wasn't ruling. And this is what we've been led to believe. And many of us now, you know, we look at native people, we look at indigenous people, we look at black people, and many of us have bought into that. We really believe that we can't govern ourselves, that we can't run a civilized planet.
That's right.
You see, without the intervention of the white man, who is the one who has caused all of the mayhem on the planet. And so we've taken him as a guide. We've taken him as the world's policeman, not realizing that he's actually the world's corrupt policeman, the world's criminal. And he's actually the one who's causing all the problems. And if he was removed, you might see some peace break out on our planet. Go ahead.
Just based on what was just said in the final call, this week's article, this was taken from the following article contains a distillation of the hour-long message delivered by the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan as part 12 of his 58-week lecture series, The Time and What Must Be Done. This message originally aired on Saturday, March the 30th, 2013, but the title is Every Nation Has a Fixed and Limited Term. And it says, and every nation has a term. So when its term comes, they cannot remain behind the least while, nor can they precede it. It is our sacred duty to warn America that the term, a fixed term, of her power to exercise authority and rule, not only over her own citizens, but over the peoples of the earth, that term is fast coming to an end.
That's right. That's right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, beloved. Dear family, please listen.
Was born with the idea of manifest destiny.
And by the way, I want you to look at these Caucasians sitting around the table with this Indian brother who is breaking down the reality of America and Britain and the West and their hegemony and their desire to be the world's policeman. Look at how uncomfortable some of these Caucasians appear because they know what the man is saying is absolutely the truth, and it makes them very, very twitchy.
My understanding is that America was born with the idea of manifest destiny. That is how they wiped out the native population. The manifest destiny meant a frontier mentality, that you could just keep on conquering, go further and further. And they see themselves even now as the policemen of the world. But you look at what's happened in Afghanistan and you know that when America went into, what did they do to turn things around in the region? Because Afghanistan in the 70s, when it was under Soviet influence, if you look at the footage of women in the street, they were not wearing veils, they had jobs, there was music, everything was allowed. The Americans brought in Osama bin Laden and...
Stop right there. See, because again, and even many of us maybe watching this think, you know, oh, Islam, we put the woman in a burqa, and she's got to be covered up, looking like a Dalek, looking through a little slit in some... Look, man, you can't find any of that written anywhere in our scriptures. That's not in our book. You see, that's people bringing some type of cultural thing into Islam. That what all Islam says is that the woman should dress modestly and the man should also dress modestly. And that we shouldn't be parading around naked and showing all of our private parts. Which, yeah, you don't see, man. I heard the minister say even the dog's got a tail.
Exactly,
to hide its most sensitive and private parts. You don't put your private parts in the public arena unless you want to attract dogs or flies or whatever the case may be, you see? And what this man is saying is that there was a time in Afghanistan when the women were walking freely, their hair uncovered, they were fine, see? But it was an ideology that was brought in with America's intervention. See? Understand this. A lot of these so-called Islamists and this so-called Islamist terrorism, oh man, you got to understand the origin of this stuff, because it didn't originate with Muslims, you see? And in a minute, he mentions the Crusades. What was the Crusades? The Crusades were Europeans going into the so-called Holy Land, going into the Middle East to conquer Jerusalem and these areas. That was Europeans going to do that. And the Muslims in that region were defending that region against these invaders and these conquerors who are coming from Europe. See? But that was the only reason why those Muslims were fighting, to stem the flow of an evil conqueror coming from a foreign place to try to overthrow that region. But as far as Islamic terrorism is concerned, this is a relatively new concept that was manufactured and created in the West and imposed on Islam. I want you to hear me, dear family. See, this idea of Muslims blowing themselves up and no. That only came about as a result of the intervention of the West into the Islamic world, and they are the ones who are behind a lot of the so-called Islamists when it comes to ISIS. You see? You know, who is ISIS? You got to understand where all of this stuff comes from. Who is Al-Qaeda? You know, because this ain't some indigenous natural phenomena from within Islam. Man, listen to what the man is saying, dear family, because we got to learn that we are being had, we've been took, we've been bamboozled. The devil is busy.
In the street, they were not wearing veils, they had jobs, there was music, everything was allowed. The Americans brought in Osama bin Laden and trained Islamic militants in Pakistan. There's footage of Brzezinski telling the jihadis that this is the fight against Communism was a fight for God. And so Islamic terror was actually created. Islamic jihad had died out in the Crusades. It was revived by colonial powers, by the British first. The British played Hindus and Muslims against each other so that they could rule in India.
Divide and rule.
And then the Americans took over later.
Ever since Captain Ibrahim Traoré came to power in Burkina Faso in 2022, he has distanced himself from France and other Western countries. Traoré has often mentioned on
He's distanced himself from the West. That makes him an enemy to the West. The way they view this brother, man, let's deal with this.
several occasions that as long as Burkina Faso does not have an imperialistic mindset, there is no problem, adding that France was ineffective in helping the country fight a long-running anti-jihadist insurgency. The West is not happy that Traoré is trying to make his country 100% independent and free from Western predators.
They're not happy that the man wants his country to be 100% independent and free from Western influence. Why? Why are you not happy? Why is it, do you want somebody to come and impose on your sovereignty, Britain, on your sovereignty, America? You're very precious about your own sovereignty and how nobody on the outside should interfere. But why is it that you feel that you should have carte blanche to go and interfere in Burkina Faso or any of the other African nations that you are all over and that you've got bases in right now?
Burkina Faso is a former French colony that long relied on the support of French troops to fight their enemies. But after many failed coups against him, Captain Traoré pledged to sever all ties with France, seen as a colonial power that failed to contain extremists. Many Pan-Africanists like Patrice Lumumba, Muammar Gaddafi, and Thomas Sankara were assassinated because they fought to see the continent autonomous and free from the shackles
See why
of
they got
colonialism.
assassinated? Because they wanted to free their countries. They wanted the colonizers to get lost, but that cost them their lives. Understand, this is the so-called world's policeman. France, Germany, England, America, all of these former colonial masters who have still got their grip on the continent, and every time we produce leadership that is going to act in the interest of Africa and the African people, man, they are murdered.
Their main concerns were geared at making Africa economically and socio-politically fit to function without any Western intervention. Their ideas and moves posed a big challenge to Western influence, and they were often threatened even before their demise. Sankara worked ceaselessly to make his country independent and free from Western domination, just like Traoré is doing right now. At the age of 35, Traoré is the youngest president in the world and is currently building the first gold refinery in Burkina Faso. He has worked endlessly to preserve...
He's building a gold refinery. See, understand that there's no gold refineries in Africa. We produce the gold. There's no gold mine in the UK. But we produce the gold, but we don't refine it and we don't bring it to its end stage and sell it to the world. No, we give the raw ore, gold ore to the West. They take it out of Africa, they refine it, and then they sell it back to us. They sell it around the world and make all of the profits and all of the money while we remain poor. But here you got Ibrahim Traoré now taking charge of the whole process. That means his life is in absolute jeopardy. That means he's in danger now of being assassinated by these evil demons who masquerade as a world policeman. For what purpose? To bring law and order? No. To continue the raping and the robbing. You see? Who better to be a robber and a raper and a pillager than one pretending to be police, pretending to be the good guy? Man, I hope you're listening, dear family. because this is the reality of what we are looking at today.
From Western domination, just like Traoré is doing right now. At the age of 35, Traoré is the youngest president in the world and is currently building the first gold refinery in Burkina Faso. He has worked endlessly to preserve Burkina resources from foreign exploiters. According to him, the West should be made to pay the fair market values for these natural resources, which will help
And why
Burkina
shouldn't they
Faso
pay
put itself
the fair market prices like everybody else? No, they don't want to do that. They want the resources of Africa for nothing or next to nothing. And they get rich and Africa remains poor. That's finished. That's over, man. And that's what all of the former leaders, Sankara and all of them, were trying to do. That's what Gaddafi was trying to do. But then traitors from within signing with our enemy to destroy our own leaders, selling out for 30 pieces of silver and a piece of bread. Wow, 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 wow.
out of poverty and become truly independent. The West doesn't want this. They want to keep Burkina Faso under their thumb and continue running her policies. A recent military coup in Burkina Faso was thwarted in January, and France, UK, and the US certainly planned it to stop the wind of freedom blowing around Africa. How long shall they terminate promising leaders in Africa? When Traoré was sworn in as president, he expelled all the French forces from Burkina Faso for sponsoring terrorism and causing instability. He removed French as an official language and adopted local languages. Ibrahim Traoré has survived 7 assassination attempts from 2023 till now.
From 2023 to now, 7 assassination attempts, man. This is how vicious an enemy we're dealing with here. Understand, family. You know, this little brother sitting in front of you right now, as minuscule and as insignificant as I am, they're terrified of this little word that I'm regurgitating, that I'm learning as a student of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught and exemplified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I got enemies who are trying to shut my mouth, working overtime. This is the reality. But what are we going to do? We're gonna punk out. We're going to be cowardly and say, oh man, you know, they might kill me. No, 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 family.
Well, the minister said we're all going to die anyway.
Come on. Come on. This ain't a day for cowards. This is a day when we have to determine we got to go free. Got to go free, family. Our Asian brothers in Haiti, they said freedom or death. This is how we got to be now, man. The day of cowardice is over. See, family, these people style themselves as the world's policemen, and they go around the world and they destroy other people's nations. And at the same time, London Bridge is falling down. At the same time, Washington is a mess. I was in Washington and I wanted to go for a run one night. And the brother that I was staying with, he said, Brother Leo, he said, you can't run here, brother. He said, you get shot. And then later on in the evening, he told me, he said, listen. And I'm listening. And he said, no, listen. And then a few times. I said, what is that? He said, that's automatic gunfire. The people just shooting at the signpost in the area where we were. And the next day he showed me all the bullet holes in the road signs where people just drive past and just shoot for fun. And he said, if you go running in the night in that area, because they like a moving target. It said, you know, the chances are you could just get shot in a drive-by for no reason. This is the capital city of America, Washington, D.C. This is the kind of madness that goes on. And one of the problems that we have as a people is that we don't travel enough, man. Because when you go outside of Britain and America and you go into some of these countries, I was shocked when I went to Zimbabwe and we went to the capital, Harare. I was shocked. The place was so clean, so beautiful. No messy, nasty pavements.
You saw it for yourself.
I saw, and before we went to Zimbabwe, they were telling us, because it was the time when they had imposed all the sanctions, and the people, they said that the people were starving. You know, Mugabe was starving his people. There was no food there, whatever. They were literally saying, take your own food. Damnable liars. Zimbabwe was beautiful, man. Beautiful. And so look at the reality of what's going on in these countries who claim to be so civilized and claim to be the policemen of the world.
Homeless people in the UK are collectively referred to as rough sleepers, and according to unofficial estimates, there are over 300,000 people in this category. This is double the number 5 years.
300,000. And you see, if they're admitting that, I can guarantee you it's more than that.
Of course.
Understand that. They always underplay the numbers. 300,000 people homeless in the capital. My God. Come on, family, man. We got to wake up.
Years ago. These individuals are not refugees or immigrants from Africa or Asia. They are citizens of the United Kingdom itself. Homeless people here are not just adults or middle-aged men. Recently, there's been a significant increase in the proportion of women and those aged between 16 and 24. They are young, strong, and generally in good physical condition.
When we were feeding the community recently, myself and Sister Claudia, we approached a young sister, wasn't it, on the street to give her some food. And Sister Claudia broke down and she started to cry because, I mean, you explain, you know, because, you know, because it's so sad to see a young person. It's one thing, the person is old and they've lived some life or whatever and they've fallen on hard times. When you see the youth homeless, and especially a female, and, you know, looking all dirty and without any care, nobody there to help them in a society that claims to be so civilized. I mean, just think, family, in Muammar Gaddafi's Libya, there was no such thing as a homeless person. Everybody had a house or a flat or an apartment that was given freely by the government. Housing is a human right, was a human right in Libya under Gaddafi. Every citizen each month got money into their bank account from the oil revenue of the Libyan nation. I just want you to think. Education was free. Healthcare, free. If you haven't got health insurance in America, you're in trouble. I remember years ago, I was working in I was doing them. I don't know if anybody, there must be one person who knows what I'm about to say. I used to be a heating and ventilating duct fitter's mate. I was really young. I think I was 17 at the time. And I was working in a private hospital, the Wellington Hospital in London. And I cut my finger, just a little cut, and I needed a plaster. And they charged me 50 pence for the plaster because it was a private hospital. And in those days, it was £700 a night to stay in that hospital. And while we were there working, one day, an electric garage door came down and banged one of the workers on his head and basically cut his head and knocked him out. But they wouldn't treat him because they said if they treated him, he would wake up with a bill that he would never be able to afford.
Wow.
So they had to call an ambulance to come and take this man from this hospital to another hospital, an NHS hospital. But think about a world like this,
Yes. Well,
where
that's
if you haven't got money, you
yes,
can't
yes.
get treated. Go ahead.
Well, that's why I used to wonder in America how many people lost their teeth. I just, because over here they have a national health service where I
Which
think
they're
it must have
phasing out
changed. Yeah,
big
they're
time now.
changing it, where you can get your teeth done, but they don't have that in America.
So you see all these people
Yes, with no
with
teeth.
their mouth just mash up.
Yes, wicked, really wicked world.
Wow. And you see, we take it for granted that, well, that's just the way it is. No,
it shouldn't be like
that's
that.
why I'm pointing out to you Gaddafi's Libya
Shouldn't be like that.
and why they had to kill Gaddafi. Because imagine that idea catches on.
That's right.
Imagine we're not objectifying women by stripping them naked and everybody looking at the woman and treating the woman as like a piece of meat. Imagine if the idea of women dressing in a regal and beautiful way, and we're forced as men to respect them because we have to look at their face and not their body. They don't want that kind of idea to catch on.
Imagine everyone living properly, nobody hungry.
Can you image it, dear family? That's what imagination is all about.
Yet they still wander and sleep on the streets. Tents look strangely out of place in the commercial areas of cities, set among the offices and shops with cars and people passing by. These tents are, however, the only shelter these people have. Most of those sleeping rough don't even have a tent in which to shelter. Instead, they lurk in various public spaces in the city, like sidewalks, parks, bus stops, under bridges, and at the corners of buildings. Homeless people come from various backgrounds and circumstances, yet they've all found themselves on the street. Many rely on welfare and charity, while others find intermittent work. Some survive by begging. The distinction between the homeless and beggars is not always clear. Some homeless people have jobs, but sleep on the streets due to insufficient income to pay for accommodation. Conversely, some beggars have...
Did you hear that?
Ridiculous.
People are working.
Yes, yes, yeah.
But what they're being paid, and by the way, the junior doctors in this country, the doctors, they're about to go back on strike again because they can't get decent pay. They can't get fair pay. So the doctors are forced to strike, putting patients' lives at risk, even though they do cover, for emergency. But the point is, dear family, that you got people working who cannot afford to live because the cost of living is so high. How did Bob Marley say it? They made their world so hard. Every day you got to keep on fighting. You got to fight.
That's right.
Just to live.
To survive.
To die is expensive in this world.
Criminal.
Imagine. Everything. What did the minister say? He said, you don't get everything you pay for in this world, but you certainly must pay for all you get.
That's right.
Think about that. You don't get everything you pay for in this world, but you certainly must pay for all you get.
Right.
Wow. What a teacher, what a leader, what a guide.
Homes, while others find themselves both begging and homeless.
Tottenham Court Road, where the retailers deal in high-end home furnishings. But on the pavements outside are canvas homes, furnished with other people's rubbish. The government plans to introduce a bill that could see rough sleepers fined or even jailed if they are deemed to be a nuisance to other people.
There used to be loads of facilities for people.
So now they're going to criminalize the people who have fallen through the gaps in society that have been deliberately created because of this unfair system where the rich get richer and the poor remain poor and get poorer.
Ridiculous.
And by the way, one of the laws that they are using, one of the what they use against these people is called the Vagrancy Act, and it's been around on the statutes books since the 15th, 16th, 17th centuries. And it's the Vagrancy Act that they again revived in the 1970s and 80s against Black youth. And we used to get picked up on the street for loitering, or we would be charged with attempting to commit crimes based on suspicion. Yeah, and they were using the Vagrancy Act, and it was called the SUS laws. And this is how many of us as young Black boys, when we were growing up, got criminal records and got criminal convictions because of the Vagrancy Act that they were using on young Black children, literally in order just to criminalize us for being on the street. If there were 2 or 3 or 4 of us on the street, that constituted basically a crime when we were growing up. And we were regularly accosted by the police, abused, maliciously charged, lied upon, framed. They would say that we said things that we never said, and then we would literally go to court and there'd be no evidence of any crime, but we would be convicted on the basis of being a suspicious person. I mean, man, if you knew how the devil, his system is so corrupt, so wicked. Here we go, family.
Loads of access points.
William, who currently lives on this street, says sleeping rough is hard enough.
Once you're in homelessness, once you're in that circle, it's really hard to change your life. I think the stigma and everything that's attached to it, it's really hard.
And what do you feel about the government saying, people could be prosecuted for begging, for sleeping in certain places, that sort of thing?
I think if they want to do that, because they need to give some sort of alternative.
Under the proposed criminal justice bill, this small collection of tents could be considered a nuisance if there is excessive smell or if they cause litter.
But first, a special report on the latest shocking rise in homelessness, even among those in active employment. New figures out today show 1 in 4 of the households in England becoming homeless last year had at least one person in work. It is something that affected...
By the way, one of these days, I really want to show you, I'm going to show you some images from Iran. I want to show you some images from North Korea. I want to show you images from these, because these countries, they are so clean, so beautiful. But you see, these are you got Britain, you got America, they want to attack these nations as being these lawless, these wicked dictatorships, and they're so, man, when you see the reality of how these people live in their own countries compared to the West,
how we living like rats.
They've got the people living here like rats, literally rats.
Police threatened almost 73,000 households where someone had a full...
And again, by the way, say to all the Black people, because understand, see, when you look at all these white people, homeless and whatever, what do you think they got in store for you? Right. Just because right now we're in this apartment or this house or this flat or wherever we live in, and we're feeling like be careful. Be careful. Don't take it for granted that, because you're the real target of all of this, right. Homelessness and whatever. They some of their own people get caught up in it, but understand who the real target is and understand why some of them get so angry when they see us driving a nice car or living well, because as far as they're concerned, you're a foreigner. What the hell? You could have been born here, but what the hell? How is it that you're living like this and me, an Englishman, a white guy, a white woman? Why am I out of doors? Why am I naked and out of doors and I can't make ends meet? And all these foreigners are living so well. This is, and the right-wing media and the right-wing politicians, they feed this mentality. Your problem is immigration. Your problem is the foreigners. Your problem is all of these strange other people who are coming here and taking the jobs and taking your women and all the rest of it. Be careful, family, because you don't understand what's about to go down in this world.
Time job. By the end of 2022, homelessness among full-time workers had increased by 22% compared to the same period 2 years ago. London had the highest number of people suffering in-work homelessness, followed by the southeast of England and the northwest. And as our investigations correspondent Daniel Hewitt heard, the desperate search for affordable accommodation can feel both wearing and embarrassing.
How does it feel to do this every single day? It's absolutely draining and exhausting and tedious.
Nicole Williams wakes up every day not knowing where she will sleep at the end of it.
I literally search the internet, see what I can find for the day that I need it for and the prices.
Perched on a single bed in a tiny hotel room, she tries to find another for tonight, all before her working day begins.
It's quite embarrassing at the same time, like having to literally figure out what your life is going to entail for the day, from the start of the morning that I wake up to when I close my eyes at night.
Nicole works full-time as a personal assistant in West London. 4 weeks ago, her landlord took back the property she was renting, but she assumed she'd find somewhere else.
Got my belongings. Who knows where the destination is for this evening.
But private rents have rocketed, competition for homes is fierce, and the local councils say they've no properties for her.
Tuesday evening, just got back from work, managed to rebook in the same B&B as I stayed in last night.
So Nicole's moved from bed and breakfast to hotel to friends' sofas, homeless, with nowhere to go.
But you're off to work now? I'm off to work, yeah. The fact that I'm working and I'm earning a living, that's just crazy to me, that, you know, I've got the funds there.
People are working and they can't afford anywhere to live because they've made it so expensive.
To look after myself and maintain myself in the property, it means nothing. I just want to live like a normal person, like a normal adult, go about my normal adult life.
Nicole says she's contacted 15 private landlords but has been outbid or ignored. It's now time for work, and the search will have to wait until later.
Memory, I don't have a gun. No, I don't have a gun. No, I don't have a gun.
And we're donating to get you drunk.
Yeah.
That's a cause that I can get behind.
Il est là maintenant vers toi. Et viens à moi. My God bless you.
So what's life like in Croydon?
Well, it's pretty tough, bro. Pretty tough, you know. It's rough. There's a lot of trouble, you know what I mean? But this is the worst road you can be on.
Okay, what's this road?
West Croydon is London Road, West Croydon, outside the station. Like most places in any city centres, this is where, you know, all the bad shit will happen.
Yeah, so I read a lot of like statistics about crime, violent crime, knife crime.
Yeah.
Is that all prevalent here?
Yeah, there's a young boy, 13, died over there. He died. Yeah, he couldn't even get to the hospital. He tried to get to the hospital himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got
over
back
here?
over there.
Yeah.
His name's Jermaine Calls. Yeah.
That's
I've never met him. 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I'm 62, bro. Come on. Next month I'm 62 years old. You wouldn't believe it.
So are you born and bred in this area?
Yeah, born down the road here. St James's Road, St Mary's Hospital. Before May Day and May Die Hospital, right? They call it Croydon University Hospital now. They call it May Die as a joke, like May Day, May Die.
Yeah.
You know, but no, there's, you know, it's like most places, my man. Not most places. I can mention like Manchester, Liverpool, anywhere in this country, brother.
I noticed in certain areas you've got like heroin in some places, a lot of alcoholics in other areas. A lot of people do like crack cocaine in some areas.
She nipped my sister's ashes off my neck, yeah, and then bottled me. All up the side of my head and all down my face.
We're here in Plymouth city centre today, speaking to retailers about the issues they've had with antisocial behaviour, large gangs of youth and shoplifting, and what they'd like to see done about it. How does that type of behaviour affect the retailers here then?
Very much so, because what ends up happening is quite a few of these people try to use those retailers for the toilets, all sorts of problems indoors, and a huge increase in shoplifting. That's really prevalent at the moment.
And now they turn to crime.
Yes, the homelessness has increased over the years. I'm actually from Plymouth, so it's so sad to see, but there's an awful lot, especially around the city centre. I suppose because I work close by, I see it regularly.
I've just been going around doing a bit of shopping today, and there's homeless everywhere, around in doorways, and even if they're not in the doorways, you just walk past and you see sleeping blankets, duvets, where they've obviously got nowhere to go.
There's loads of homeless people everywhere you turn that's homeless. But then there's also drug addicts, alcoholics, druggies, homeless, there's everything. It's like a normal place, isn't it? Well, not normal, is it? Shoplifting, robberies, nicking off old man. Sorry about my language. Nicking off old man, getting bottled, like everywhere you turn is the crime.
The food prices going up. I see it all the time, like even girls in certain areas are pinching shoplifting. I think it's because the price of food keeps going up.
Now let's go to America. Superpower. I think this is the area called Kensington, Philadelphia, or one of those cities. I mean, it's just, I think it's San Francisco. It's just horrendous. But these are the people that want to tell you that they want to be the policeman of the world, and they can't take care of their own backyard, dear family. Understand what's going on our planet today. If you hear any swear words, I do apologize, dear family, because this couple, they seem to be just warring with each other continuously. See the nice shiny cars. Look at the terrible condition of the people.
That works.
Dear family, I hope you can answer the question for yourself. You know, is America, the UK, can they really be the policemen of the world? Should we accept such when they can't even take care of their own populations? And when you see this thing is just going from bad to worse, and it's just really sickening. But this is the reality, brothers and sisters of the world in which we live.
Right.
And we are the only ones who can change it.
That's right.
Okay, and it begins with us changing our own selves, our own condition. There's a scripture in the Quran that says Allah will never change the condition of a people until they change themselves.
Right.
And so I encourage you to embark on a process of self-improvement, you know, introspection, look at yourself. Don't spend too much time looking at other people and trying to change other people, but if you and I will just change ourselves, we can influence the people around us, we can influence our circle, and we can begin to make changes in the world. I really want to thank all of you, dear family, for once again tuning in and being a part of the Imagination Show. I really want to thank you for your support and your help.
Continued support.
And, you know, we encourage you to keep on being a part of the Imagination family, and we will keep on trying our very best to impart some of the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that we are blessed to be learning ourselves. And we believe that we can turn this thing around and that we can make a difference and we can create a nation of our own as a people where love, freedom, justice, equality becomes the staple that we function on, you see. And so, brothers and sisters, thank you for once again being a part of the Imagination Show. And Sister Claudia, is there anything that you wanted to share with us before we close out?
Yeah, just to make a quick comment. Again, the book, The Teachings, Twitter Sayings of the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Volume 2. Just a quick, I thought this was quite interesting. Somebody asked the question, what is the best food to feed the brain to get optimum output from it beyond the 10% that we use? The Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan answers, the best physical food the Honourable Elijah Muhammad taught are the simple food. He said, with just the navy bean and good wholesome milk and whole wheat bread, we could live 140 years.
Wow.
But the real food to feed the brain after getting good physical food is feeding our minds on truth. It is the truth that stimulates the brain. The brain is created in truth and grows and matures with more and more truth. The universe is created in truth, and the more we feed on what God has created by means of truth, we grow more and more and use more and more of the power of our brains.
Beautiful.
Truth.
Truth.
The
That's
truth
right.
will set us free.
That's right. That's the food.
That's right.
That's the food, dear family.
That's right.
And so I'm not able to deal with a lot of the questions this week, but maybe inshallah next week we can look at some of the questions that have been asked. And we will do another questions and answer session as well very, very soon. But
greetings to Percy O2. We haven't heard
Percy O2?
Yeah, for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, so lovely to have them.
From Buckeye,
Yes.
Arizona.
Yes.
Okay.
So praise be to Allah.
Okay, yeah, and I see the message from my brother. All right, praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, family. Inshallah, we look forward to being with you again next week, same time, same place, if Allah spares our life. Thank you, and may Allah bless each and every one of you as we greet you, as we found you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Take care, family.
Thank
Take
you
care.
once again. Have a blessed day.